How much revenue is AMS bringing in?
Around 1.2. We started getting quotes to be moved from Auckland back to Christchurch. Plan is to buy the truck, move to Christchurch, and then sell the truck. Looking at the truck in the driveway one day, and I thought, sure, I can do something with this. Put up a post, does anyone need anything moved? Woke up in the morning, hey, how much to do this? I was like, holy shit, we're on. 3.5 years later, here we are.
For guys out there, definitely have that ambition to get into business, entrepreneurship at one point. What would be your advice to them?
I think the biggest thing that you can do is
Meet Josh, who turned a simple Facebook post into $1 million moving business. After getting quoted $14,000 to move cities, he bought a truck and decided he would move himself. But instead of selling the truck afterwards, he listed it on Marketplace to help others move. To his surprise, he got some interest. We dive into how Josh turned one truck, one Facebook post, and pure determination into an over $1 million business. We share unfiltered stories from real entrepreneurs to lead you to achieve your dreams. No fluff, no bullshit, unboxing entrepreneurship.
So this is pretty much how I like to start most of my mornings. I try to be up at 5.
Yeah.
Sometimes I snooze a couple of times. I know that if I try to do it in the afternoons, things just get thrown at you and there's a high chance I won't make it. No phones, no emails, nothing. Just shut off, heart rate up, and start the day with a bang.
So where are we off to right now, boss?
Okay, so the plan at the moment is we're gonna head on home. We'll catch up with the boys before they leave and catch up with the whānau. All right. Yo, G! What's up, big dog? How are we? Here he is, Dan the man. What's up, Rux? Because the last thing I want you to do is just to be working yourself to the bone.
Hey bro, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
My name is Josh Molson. I think I'm an entrepreneur in a transport company called Affordable Moving Solutions. We do household removals, office moves, piano moves, anything that we can fit in the back of our trucks, we move. And recently I've just re-entered back into the real estate industry.
So how many trucks you got? I see 3 at the moment.
So we've got 5 trucks.
Yep.
2, 3, 5 trucks. Yeah. We've got a van, and we've got a working whānau of about 14 to 16 people.
And how much revenue is AMS bringing in?
This year, we're looking at a top line of around 1.2.
And so we've just come in from the gym. So what's generally the day's plans from here on in?
We'll catch up with the team inside, get them set up for work, try and get out here into the office.
So this is actually connected to your house, eh?
This is my home, brother. This is work, home, and everything in between. It's got pros and cons because I'm always living in work.
And so how long has AMS been running for now?
Yeah, so AMS is still pretty early, about 3.5 years. It's gone pretty crazy. Steep learning curves, but I've been loving it.
And because you didn't have much business experience beforehand, eh?
Nah, I've done a few little things, but yeah, it was all sort of shooting from the hip a little bit. And so now, this has been the first proper business that we've had running.
Cool, man. So what are you up to right now?
Most mornings I like to sit down and then I do the old school diary here. It's just a full rundown of what my plan is during the day. And then this is like the tasks to do. If I don't get them completed on that day, anything I didn't, I'll transfer over.
And so you do this every morning?
I try to.
So can I just ask, why not on the phone?
So I think it's important for me to be focused on what I'm focusing on and not get carried away. I know phones are cool and they're good, but nothing like the old school.
Nothing like the old pen and paper.
Pen and paper and a 2025 diary.
So this is where you can write up all your...
I'm real visual. I like writing things. I like having it up there. I like people to see it. It's like a to-do list for AMS. This is like our organizational structure. Who are the people that are part of the moving team? This is the administration team. This is the VA. And then once I got that rough structure, then I really honed in on that. You have to have clarity.
Growing up, were you always from Christchurch?
Yeah, I was born here.
Yeah.
Finished high school. To be honest with you, man, I was probably doing some pretty dumb shit. Didn't finish my last year of high school. Went for the first like 2 weeks and I was like, fuck this. And it just wasn't for me. And I just felt like I was wasting time. So then I went and did sprinkler fitting. But yeah, just doing dumb shit on the weekends, drinking, selling things I probably shouldn't have been. It was just not making good decisions.
Yeah. Why do you think that? Do you think that was just part of growing up? Or
I think it was
your upbringing have anything to do with it?
No, I don't think so. Like, I think, to be honest, I think my upbringing has been the thing that sort of directed me on my pathway and given me my mental foundations of determination. I grew up with a single mother. Mum always worked hard. And I think that that's where I got that from. Look, I was just young. dumb, doing silly shit with my mates. Sometimes you just hang out with the wrong people.
When did you kind of realize like, oh shit, I should probably do something about this?
Yeah, there was a pretty pivotal one that was to do with a guy here. It was a big fight at a fast food place and one of the guys ended up in a coma. Pretty eye-opener, and then the cops coming around to our like flat and stuff like that. And I thought, it's probably not on the right path here, eh? So yeah, I ended up going down to the recruitment office for the army not long after, kind of switched gears. I went to the army, but I think that it got to a point where I like kind of doing what I want to do. Maybe looked at some of the older people that were there and felt like I didn't want to be in that position when I was their age. Worked at the ports for a little bit, and after I worked at the ports, I was playing rugby for the ports, went through a bad breakup with a girl at the time, and this old Māori fella that I was working with there, he said to me, he goes, boy, you need to pick your head up, stop walking around being all sad. He said, I reckon you need to go to Aussie. And he set me a little pathway on how to do it. He said, go do this course, this course, this course, and once you do that, then talk to this company, this company, this company. And on my last course that I was doing, I was a little bit late into the class on the first day, and I walked in there, and there was one seat left, and a guy sitting down, and he had a t-shirt on that said Total AMS. And the guy that had told me to go over there, he said, talk to Total AMS, the guy who owns it's a Kiwi. It was just, I thought, that's a company that he talked about. Had some good yarns over the few days we were on this course and got to know each other, and just sort of told him my story and said, look man, I'm keen to get out there and get an opportunity if there's one there. 1 week goes by, 2 weeks goes by afterwards, and I was like, shit. I think I'm gonna have to go find like any job now. Yeah. All my money's gone, everything's out the door. And then that same guy calls me up and he goes, hey man, are you still looking for work? He goes, I've got something for you. It'll be 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and it'll be $750 a day. And I was like, yeah, that's all good, man. Like $750 a week will be all good. And then he's like, no, a day. And I was like, what the hell? I'd never heard of that sort of stuff. And that was the journey. And did that for about 8 years.
Let's just pick up where we left off. What happened from there?
COVID happened. I went to Aussie on my first swing back, but we'd been living in Auckland. I didn't care at the time because I'd just fly in and out. Every 3 weeks I'm in and out. So it didn't matter where we were getting paid. So we moved up to Auckland. I flew out to go to work, and on my way back from that swing was when there was these whispers of this COVID thing and what's going on. I got locked up in Auckland. So we just got into this shit area of not getting any income just while we were figuring out what to do. I got offered a job for another marine company here, but it was hard going from what was more than $750 a day at that point to like 26 bucks an hour, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? And I was doing like 12-hour days. I hadn't seen my family in ages. So we made a family decision, said, let's come back to Christchurch. So we started getting quotes to be moved from Auckland back to Christchurch. And we were getting outrageous quotes, 14,000, 8,000, 10,000, whatever it was. And I had this one conversation with a guy. I said, mate, $14,000 is a lot of money. I get you're a business, but how do you justify that? And he said, everyone's moving out of Auckland. Nobody's moving in because of the COVID thing and people losing their jobs and going to different places. But he said a key thing to me, and he said, at the end of the day, what are you gonna do about it? And I sort of thought, you bastard. And I was a bit angry about it. I went to bed that night. I felt it was like a challenge. And so I woke up in the morning, grabbed the phone, swiping through, boom, see a truck, 15.5 grand. Ended up getting the truck for 14.5 grand.
Nice.
Bought it. I was like, that's the same that guy was gonna charge me. But the plan was to buy the truck, move to Christchurch, and then sell the truck.
Right.
And so we did the move. I had like a month of just sitting there and I can't sit still. So I was looking at the truck in the driveway one day and I thought, sure, I can do something with this. So I jumped on like Facebook Marketplace, put up a post, does anyone need anything moved? I went to bed that night, had no messages. After a couple of hours, I said, well, this is a flunk. Woke up in the morning, there was 3 messages in there. Hey, how much to do this? How much to do that? So then I like started calling other companies, been like, hey, I've got this move. What would you charge me? Then I figured out that they're doing it on an hourly rate normally, and this is the average of rates. So now I'm doing market research. I'm figuring it out. So I'm probably gonna come in a little bit less because of my skill set.
Yeah.
And then I started throwing out a few quotes to people like, sweet, when can you do it? And I was like, holy shit, we're on. Had nobody to do the moves with me, so my small petite partner, I was like, babe, put your workout gear on, we're gonna go move some stuff. I was like watching YouTube videos for hours. How do you pack a truck? How do you stack a truck? What do I need? Went and bought blankets. First few days we were just out there doing moves. It got to a point Shani just said, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm not built for this. So then, you know, like it was getting my first employee. So I had a mate that was in Auckland and I was like, hey man, we do some stuff. He's like, yeah, I'll call in sick today or whatever and come and help me out.
Were you quite kind of excited at the time? Or?
I think it was just something that I was keen to get sunk into. But then I started getting the first cash days and it was sort of starting to roll in. I was like, hey, this is epic.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think like it started off the first week, we made like $1,000 and I was like, yeah, good. And then it got to like 3.5. And then I realized, hey, this thing's starting to get some legs. So I built my own website on GoDaddy. I registered the company, got everything, and sort of started that process. What, like 3.5 years later, here we are.
And what's been like a low point with AMS?
What it's done a little bit to our relationship, our family, our business, everything is intertwined. We don't argue very much, but if we ever do, it's to do with work normally.
With work, yeah.
I'm super meticulous. Everything's got to be precise and done properly, and Shani's very go with the flow and she gets it done with just opposites. But that's why we probably work so well too. And we've had some really shit days out of it. You know, days where we've just been like, we don't want to do this anymore.
How do you guys kind of overcome that?
I think having thick skin, communicating, I think the best way to get through it is don't let what happened yesterday carry on and drag on. And then I think you've got to hit a reset button pretty quickly. And then that's where I flick and go, okay, this is what it is. We're in this situation. How do we get out of it? This is probably where I start jumping into the phone and seeing what's happening. With the real estate side of things, still early in the morning yet. I'm expecting things to start happening soon.
Sweet, so where are you off to from here? So you've sharpened up a bit.
I have sharpened up a bit. Yeah, so the plan is that, again, this is where the hats change a little bit. So we're gonna jump in the car, head into town. I've got a few things I need to do. We've got a deadline sale. So this is where it all flips over and we're out there trying to get some real estate happening. All right, come on.
And we are.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
In terms of financial advice and business,
Yeah.
what's the best you've received?
It's just know your numbers. There's no point in running a business or trying to be in business if you don't understand what your numbers are. If you have a service or a business or whatever it is, you need to know what your costs are, what your profit margins are. And then on the back end of it, there needs to be a level of forecasting as well, because if you don't, you're going to run into problems where you might not make that payroll next week. You might not pay those invoices that are outstanding. And the ultimate thing is, you know, nobody's doing anything for free. If you're in business and you're putting up with all the bullshit that comes with it, the good times, the bad times, and everything in between, you need to make sure that you're getting something out of it. Because if you're not, then what's the point in doing it?
And so for guys out there that were, I guess, on a similar path to you, getting up to a whole lot of not much, kind of a bit lost as to where to go, but definitely have that ambition to get into business, entrepreneurship at one point.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to them?
If people want to go down this pathway, I think the biggest thing that you can do is work on yourself. I think self-motivation is a huge part of it. Entrepreneurship is probably one of the most loneliest things that you could ever do, I would say. And I only say that in the fact of, you know, even with me, Shani and I work together, we're business partners.
Yeah.
But I, to be fair, am the one that's steering the ship and the one that's kind of coming up with the ideas. Nobody knows what you go through apart from you. It's easy to go to do a 9 to 5, turn up every day, get paid for your hours, and leave work at work.
Yeah.
Whereas this journey's a hard one. It has great days, it has shitty days. You know, there are no set work hours. When you got to do stuff, you got to do it. So just be self-motivated. Go out and learn, read books, podcasts. Like every day I've got a rule where I've got to do at least 10 pages of a book or, you know, 10 minutes of podcasts. It's building your own knowledge and listening to people that have been there and done it, because there's so much knowledge that's held in these people that are offering their free advice or, you know, small cost. A book is what, $30? And you can get somebody's lifelong journey of things I've learned, and it saves you having to go out there and work your ass off. And we always learn from hard lessons and, you know, from things that go wrong. But if you can try and mitigate the risk through building your own knowledge and skill sets, it's certainly going to help you on that pathway.
Now, you mentioned books. Is there one book in particular that comes to mind?
It's a bit of a classic one. How to Win Friends and Influence People is a really good one to understand people and relationships. Ant Middleton, ex-SAS guy, I've really enjoyed his books because it's not to do with business, but it's to do with mentality, the way that you approach different, you know, problems. A Diary of a CEO, I'm listening to that now. And then I'd have to say the last one that I really liked when I do like running is David Goggins. That guy's a beast. I've been out on runs and I'm like, I'll go for a quick 5K. and then you're listening to his book. We just keep going.
Thanks for agreeing to film with us.
Thanks for having me, mate.
In terms of your business, AMS, next 5 to 10 years,
Yep.
where do you see it going?
We've done a really good job with AMS and we've built it to somewhere that we're really happy with. And at this point in time, we're happy to keep managing it, looking after it. I think we'll either make a decision that AMS gets taken over by a manager, they're going to look after the business, or it might come to a point where we pat ourselves on the back and say, good work, came from nothing, no experience, and maybe it's time to sell up.
Do you have like a kind of revenue figure in mind? Well, that's not really at the forefront of...
It's weird. I think what success looks like is a fully functional business that's running so smooth, everything's in place. It's just more about the relationships and the ways that I'm interacting with people and providing them good service.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
All the best.